Since the moment we saw the reddish hue that set this planet apart from its surroundings, humans have been captivated with Mars. In the late 1960s, we set out to discover what this red planet held over the decades. We have now come to know of its intriguing patterns and landforms. We have come a very long way already, but there is still so much more we must uncover about Mars, especially when you realize that in the next 10 years, humans are getting ready to set foot on the red planet. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we will be talking about Mars and all the discoveries we have made so far on this distant planet. Before we do, please make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon for more interesting videos from our channel. Over the last century, scientists have discovered that Mars may have once been capable of hosting ecosystems, and that it may very well be a host for breeding microbial life today. Although we do have a slight understanding about what we should expect when setting foot on Mars, there are still a greater number of unanswered questions than actual answers. Today, when scientists analyze the surface of Mars, they see different features that were undoubtedly created by ancient flowing liquids from streams, rivers, valleys, and deltas. These observations hint that there may have once been an ocean covering the northern hemisphere of this planet. Heavy rainstorms pass through the planet, soaking the landscape, creating lakes and rivers that carve troughs into the terrain that we see today. It's also probable that Mars once had a thick atmosphere that was capable of maintaining liquid water. Most importantly, it's the only other planet we know of in our solar system that had enough water to sustain life. Unfortunately, somewhere during Martian evolution, the planet went through a rather dramatic transformation, and the world that was once covered in liquid became the dusty, dry planet we see today. There are many features today that make this planet uninhabitable for earthly life forms. Mars is wrapped in a thin carbon dioxide atmosphere where methane gas occasionally appears in measurable levels. The soil contains compounds that would be toxic to life. And while there is water on Mars, it is locked away in the planet's icy polar caps and buried far beneath the surface. While there seems to be a lot that we know, today there are many questions still unsolved. What happened to cause this change in the Martian atmosphere? And when did this dramatic change take place? Did life exist back when there was flowing water on the surface? As we said before, we have more questions than answers. It would not have been possible to know even this much if it was not for our own curiosity. Scientists have sent dozens of spacecrafts to study Mars, starting as early as the 1960s. In the beginning, the spacecraft would fly past the planet while furiously snapping photos of its surface. A few years later, probes were put into orbit around Mars, and today we have seen landers and rovers actually touching down on the surface. While the mission of sending a spacecraft to Mars is hard, landing on the dusty planet is even more difficult. It's all due to the thin Martian atmosphere, which makes the descent a tricky process. Over 60% of the landing attempts on Mars have ultimately failed. Early missions include NASA's Mariner 4 spacecraft and the Soviet space program's Mars 3. These began a list of data captured from space, giving us close-up images and information about the planet's topography, atmosphere, weather, and geology. Over the next several years, many more orbiters returned even more detailed data on the planet's atmosphere and surface. Scientists began to find more and more interesting facts about the red planet, including the largest volcano seen within our solar system, one of the largest canyons ever discovered, and fierce dust storms that regularly swept over the plains with winds stirring up dust devils. Another interesting feature that might intrigue you is Mars quakes. We all know that earthquakes on Earth are devastating, but could you imagine 450 quakes that are spread over months? While this might squash your hopes of settling on Mars someday, the good thing about these quakes is that they are actually quite small and occur very deep underground. This means that even though they're by no means insignificant, you will not feel these tremors while standing on the ground. In fact, we have yet to detect any powerful earthquake on the Martian surface to date. What makes this discovery complicated is that Mars quakes occur throughout the planet, and some of them are so small that it's difficult to figure out where exactly they occurred and what may have caused them. Over the years, we've discovered something else that might be another piece of the puzzle and tell us what might have happened on Mars. A very weird, yet strong magnetic field. Mars does not have a constant magnetic field like we do on Earth, although there are good chances that it could have had one billions of years ago. Instead, it has small areas of magnetic fields caused by rocks that have maintained their magnetization over the ages. Our assumptions were once again broken when we took a magnetometer to the Martian surface and found a steady field that is about 10 times stronger than what was predicted from satellite observations. This means there is an abundance in magnetized rocks, which are most likely found deep underground. Their ancient magnetization tells us something about the history of the Martian depths. If they had been heated up over a few hundred degrees centigrade, this magnetization would have been wiped out, meaning they must have stayed fairly cool since they became magnetized billions of years ago. NASA's Perseverance recently landed on Mars in search of alien life, and it's had quite a busy first month. Although the Perseverance team is still working on technical tidbits, and will continue to do so over the next several months, the rover has already snapped more pictures than an excited tourist at their favorite destination. In fact, a team of scientists have already determined that several of the rocks on the planet are chemically similar to volcanic rocks we see on Earth. All this activity is, of course, laying the groundwork for sending humans to the next world over. NASA is aiming for 2030 as a reasonable time frame for setting the first boots on Mars. They are also currently developing a space capsule, Orion, that will ferry humans to the moon and beyond. There are other private spaceflight companies, such as SpaceX, that are also getting into the game to hopefully make this possible. Soon, in one way or another, humanity may finally know whether our neighboring planet ever hosted life, and if there is a future for our species on another world. Hopefully, within the next few years, we will have more answers about the Red Planet rather than the innumerable questions we have before us today. So, what do you hope we will soon find on Mars? Do you think humans will reach the Red Planet by 2030? Let us know what you think in the comments section below. Also, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more videos in the future. We will be back very soon.